Hi, so this is the first metal sword that I've made. I made it last year. It's a Spartan, well, it's inspired by a Spartan Xiphos. When I was about 7 I watched 300 Spartans, the old one, and I was greatly inspired by that. And I just thought, why not try and make one? The blade is made out of 01 ground flat stock tool steel that was just bought off eBay. The handle is from a piece of African blackwood. I have some pictures which I'll insert into the video to show the different stages. Basically, I bought a 500mm long piece of steel. It was 5 mils wide, 5 mils thick, and I traced on the shape. I just drew the shape, folded it over, drew the other side, left a long piece for the tang, and drew that onto the steel. Now, it was just, from what I can remember, I drew it by eye, because once you start using a file and stuff, you're going to be working by eye anyway. And you just do it to what looks aesthetically nice, really. And I then, because I was lazy and just starting off, I thought, I'll make it easy, and I'll actually drill along the line, and then I'll kind of join the dots with the hacksaw. The only problem with that is, you're left then, here's a different piece, you're left with this type of effect along the side of your cut edge. You then have to file all those off, and when you're filing, the file tends to kind of jump between them, and it just makes the job so much harder. Which I've realised now, it's not really labour saving at all. It's much more of a nuisance. Plus, when you're drilling, if you don't drill them exactly in line, you'll get one that's slightly off, which means your whole line has got a kink in it then, and you've then got to file all in, and it's just not worth doing. It's easy, just cut the thing with a hacksaw, take your time, and do it that way. I then used files to bevel it from the centre as best I could. It turned out to have quite a fine edge on it. And as I was finishing it, laziness crept back in, and I thought, maybe I'll use one of these in the drill. It's just little pieces of sandpaper, 120 grit this one, to save a bit of time. The problem is, I don't know if you can see, there's little snail trails all over it, and once you get marks, it's really hard. It's really easy to get them in, it's really hard to get them out. On this side, when I was actually filing, I got really excited, and I put these scratches down the blade, and I spent a long time trying to get them out. But the problem is, you got a scratch that's a micron deep. To get rid of it, you've got to take off all the metal down across the whole face of the sword, a micron, which is a massive amount of metal, just to get rid of a tiny scratch. So I kind of gave up. So I went through and sanded it using all the sandpaper I had at the time, which thing was up to 1200. I'm very pleased with the shape. So I was actually really surprised how nicely it came out. To do the handle, I was thinking, well, if this was a soldier out in the wilds at war and his handle snapped, he'd have to go and get something local, so he might get a branch or something. So I had a piece of African blackwood branch like this one, it's black heart and then pale sapwood, and the one I had like a V shape where there was 2 branches. I kept it because I was going to make earplugs, and then thought, why not use it for this? Because what I could do is I could put the V so it was here, so I'd get the black coming up both sides like that, and it would just make it a bit more exciting. There are some still photos of that I'll insert. To do all the shaping, I wanted it to be done by eye. I didn't want it to be precise. So what I used this thing. It's called a Shinto rasp. I call it a dragon's teeth. It's really like lots of hacksaw blades that have been welded together. Coarse ones on this side, fine ones on this side. I used it to shape all the shapes, and you can get some really nice edges on it using it. You just have to remember, on this one, the black was really hard, the sapwood was really soft, so I had to be really careful. So it's not perfect, but it's a shape I like. It's nice and chunky. It goes with the size of the blade. On the end here, I rounded it. That was done using this going around because I wanted to see the actual heartwood, and I thought having a circle in the middle, I did think about putting some in the middle, but I'd probably make a mess of it and spoil it. When I was drilling the holes for the tang to go in, I had it in the vise, that vise there. You could have a table vise. But I made a bit of a mess of it, really. And when I was going to araldite it all together, I realised it was going to look a bit silly, so I had another piece of African blackwood, a little thin slice, so I made a point of trying to cut it as careful as possible, slip it on, and then glue the whole thing together. And then I just went around the edge and smoothed it off, which I liked the look of it. When it was done, I thought I'd treat the handle with something, and I used this stuff here, gunstock true oil. I think the one I have is a bit old now because it was a bit gloopy, and I've put several coats on, but some parts are shiny, some parts aren't. It's nice and soft to touch. It feels nice, but I think if I got a fresh bottle, I'd get a consistent shine off it. But it actually sounds like a sword. It's got a nice weight. It's only 1/2 meter long. It's probably shorter than the real ones were. But as a first attempt, I'm really pleased with it. Came out much better than I ever thought it would do. And the surface is not too bad. Thanks for watching.